So whenever there is some siren or something, then everybody used to, run
away to their homes.
Yeah, run away. Why I moved into Sapadra means shut your bloody mouth and then eat. So there is nothing called conversation.
Was that the case with everyone from your generation?
Absolutely, yes.
So here we are, my first ever podcast on the occasion of Sri Ram Navami. Thank you for being my first guest, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're most welcome, and hopefully we'll have some insightful conversation about you, your childhood, and your career, and basically your perception of growth of India. Can you give a 2-minute brief introduction about yourself, about who you are, what you do for our audience, please?
First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be with you all, guys here. Jai Sri Ram.
Jai Sri Ram.
Well, about me, I just completed my term as a chairman for Lotus Chocolates, which is a Reliance Consumer Group. And I continue to be with the minority stakeholder company as a chief advisor, that is Pujari Group. And also a few more companies as independent director, like CVMEC Engineering, and one more company, PMF Infra Equipment. Apart from this, I'm also there as a honorary secretary for Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council, which comes under Ministry of Skill Development and spearheaded by National Skill Development Corporation.
Yeah.
This is Prime Minister's initiative and his vision for skilling India, Honorable Prime Minister's vision for skilling India, and really privileged and honored to be part of skilling. Try and see what best I can do to accomplish what our Honorable Prime Minister's target is. So, thankfully, I'm there still.
Well, I want to start from the really beginning of your early years, your childhood. How was the environment at your place? What were dinner conversations like?
Childhood, if you ask me, frankly, I grew up in Old City.
Old City of?
Hyderabad. Okay. And those days, used to have a lot of communal violence and all. But still, we used to enjoy that part. The one which actually strikes us, or strikes me in particular, is the moment we used to have this curfew.
Okay.
So when curfew used to get clamped, that was the best enjoyable moment for all of us, because we used to play cricket.
In curfew?
In curfew. So whenever there is some siren or something, then everybody used to, run
away to their homes.
Run away home. So, that particular thing, I don't think we can ever get back. That particular excitement, thrill. So childish is all nothing but thrills, right? You or me, whoever it is. So that's one thing which really strikes me, because I grew up in Old City. Now, when you talk about dinner or dining, whatever. Dinner conversation. You have to sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Then mother puts plate, she serves, and one word in Tamil. Why I moved into Sapadra means shut your bloody mouth and then eat. So there is nothing called conversation. So we used to shut our mouth, simply eat our food, then get back to whatever homework or whatever it is.
Did you have any role model when you were at that age whose behavior sort of shaped your thinking?
I think no one at that point of time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure, because that particular stage is such that we don't get inspired with someone. For simple reason, we never used to have any social media, never watched TVs. Nothing was there to get inspired. It's you and only you. Otherwise, you have friends, you go and play. Come back home, parents are there. They only want you to study, read. Okay, go back to school, same thing. So there is nothing where, you go. See, I can't talk about getting inspired by looking into the books and reading about Motilal Nehru's and all, which we used to do. Okay, they were lessons, good. By heart, if by chance I'm getting in my exam, then I write about it. That's it.
Okay.
But nothing. But today's generation is different because they see a lot of, they are into a lot of social medias. They get inspired by various people who talk. You have so many facilities to learn a lot of things, which we never had those days.
Was that the case with everyone from your generation?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
If you take my example, like me and my father, in fact, we never spoke for a few years also. Just because he was unable to understand what I am doing.
Can you elaborate on that?
I'll elaborate. Once I completed my MSc Tech Geoengineering, without telling my father, placement, I went to a place called Sohna,
Where is
somewhere in Haryana.
in Haryana.
Because I got in one company as a geologist.
Okay.
I know my father will be dead again because he wanted me to be a government officer.
Okay.
But generally, that is those days,
Those days they were looking for stability.
Stability, and my father was in Central Raising Corporation, and okay, he could have managed me also. I had a written exam also. I could have become some officer in. So he was always forcing me to write that exam. But then I never did that. Some of my brother got into, and he's always been a government employee. My father was always happy about him.
Okay.
And what happened to me, that's what I said. I have to, in fact, a small correction I can say. There are at least 2-3 people in my life over the period of time, and during my employment, I can say, they really changed my way of thinking, my career part, whatever you call it. It's a fact. Amazing.
Can you name
and some of the examples, if I tell you, I think it will really inspire many people. The first thing was, I was a gold medalist in MBA. I did MBA, of course. So when I did MBA, I worked for 2 years in that company. Then suddenly I left that company and I wanted to do MBA full time.
Okay.
Then I got in Osmania, a lot of places. My father said, I will not give a single penny to you because I just don't know what you are going to do. You are going to waste my money.
I'm sorry to intervene. Can I ask why? Why did you want to suddenly do MBA?
Suddenly, I wanted to do MBA because I was a geologist.
Okay.
Then my chairman at that point of time said, Bharathan, you are more fit for
MBA. Okay.
I'll sponsor.
Oh, so you were on a sponsored MBA.
I'll wait.
Okay.
Then what happened was, then I got into, I wrote exams, got MBA. But suddenly my chairman was missing. So whenever I had to pay fee, he was missing. Then the last day, everything was, over. Then I went and asked my parents. My father said nothing. Because, he wanted me to become a government officer, right? He said, I'm not going to give a single pie to this guy. My mother was helpless. Then, fortunately, one of our family friends, I used to treat her like my own sister. That uncle was very close to me, Sai surgeon. Then I asked him, he said, no, you go ahead, and they helped me in giving the fee.
Oh, okay.
Then I went and joined in DAV, Sholapur. Then when I became topper, that time my father was
proud of you.
Not very proud, but he said,
okay with what you're doing.
लेकिन ये क्या कर रही है, कुछ भी करेगा ये बात नहीं. In spite of being a topper, this guy again will get into some. Then again he wanted me to write bank exam. Then I said no. Joined a private company. My first job was selling TVs.
Okay.
That was Dayanara TV, those days famous. So I was a topper, a gold medalist. Along with me, there was one more guy called Siraj. He was from Jamnalal Bajaj. Okay. Then we attended the interview. And during that interview, they asked me questions about, what do you know about Dayanara? So we read about all those things. Tie-up with Panasonic, joint venture with Panasonic, all that stuff. Fantastic. Got selected.
Okay.
So 3 of us got selected at that point of time. Me, The other guy is Siraj, and one more guy, funny, was an out and out sales guy. He was selling Horlicks, garam masalas, and all that type.
He was
of
an experienced salesman.
hardcore sales guy.
Okay.
The very first day, our regional manager, Gautam Narahari Setti, some of the people who inspired me. When I met him, he said, "Chalo, how are you going to go about?" I said, "We'll go to the dealers. We'll go and talk about Panasonic, all that stuff. Joint venture with Panasonic." I said, "Chodo yaar. These things are good for interviews.
Okay.
Not for sales.
Alright.
All these bloody dealers know about our TV since last 15 years.
Okay.
What you and I can go and educate these guys? Nothing. Mal thoko, paisa uthao."
Okay.
Then we went about with all dealers, and it was so embarrassing for us. And there are other guys falling on their feet, dumping, bringing back, all sort of nonsense they were doing, including this Shaker was doing great job.
Okay.
But we too were highly embarrassed.
Okay.
Going to the dealers.
Okay.
Then one day we sat. So what is the nonsense we are doing here? You are from Jamnalal Bajaj, Bedi. I am from, did my MBA. What's happening? Let's go and talk to
the boss.
We went and told him, "Sir, some of you are not liking this, sir. So what is the point in we doing MBA, being a gold medalist, and he coming from Jamnalal Bajaj? What is all this, sir? Somehow it's not gelling well." Then he said, "Come home." He took us home, sat there. He said, "Okay, 3 months, right? 3 months, you guys, you're having this frustration. Okay, those guys will never have. They'll continue to do so for another 10 years also. This is what your MBA helps. Then what we should do? I'll give you 3 months. I'll not ask for anything. No target, no dumping, nothing. Come out with some idea." I never objected or said no. When you have come up with some idea, you never came. That's it. Now you are coming.
Okay.
Then after 3 months, we got an idea. We used to see, financiers with institutions, they used to finance. So we started something called Institutional Finance Division. That really took shape. And that was actually reversed, the entire process of selling. I used to go meet finance companies, sign MOUs, then RTC, whichever companies, for their employees' funding. So dealers were behind us. Because you have to liquidate their stock.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that really helped us. That has changed our outlook and the way we think also. So he was one guy. Then second was how I got into finance, because my core area was finance. I was never a finance guy at all. Actually, I've never, even till MBA, I never knew what is credit debit. I never knew what is credit debit also. I used to sit daily outside with documents in a finance company. That was a Nagarjuna Finance, Nagarjuna Investment Trust Limited. And that time, main head, Prasanna, who is now a director, GMR Airport, Chella Prasanna. One fine day, what happened was, Prasanna was walking. I again stood and said, then he said, "Bharathan, why don't you come in?" I was surprised because he never talked to me also. So when I entered, he said, "Bharathan, Satyadev is leaving today. This is his last day. And will you join in Satyadev's place?" I was shocked. Then he asked Satyadev, "Bharathan, I think because he's there, I've been seeing this guy for quite some time. So he understands this documentation. So I want him to be in your place. You train him and then put him in place." So the guy, especially Kishore, whom I was waiting for, a document to submit it, in next minute, I was supposed to take seat beside him. And that changed my course of career again. From selling TV, institutional sales, to suddenly I'm sitting in a finance company. And, suddenly my collar, everything.
Become white collar.
Yeah, white collar, suddenly sitting with one secretary and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Third person was Mr. K.K. Mohanty. I call him my uh, guru,
Guru.
friend and philosopher also. I was working for Centurion Bank, very structured bank, and we had to follow a lot of systems in Centurion Bank. Then suddenly I got an offer from a company called Srei Infrastructure Finance. Basically, those days it was considered to be a Babu Loka company,
Okay.
Marodi types.
Okay.
But Mr. K.K. Mohanty was after me for 2 years because he wanted somebody from a structured organization and drive business in Srei, basically into infrastructure funding and construction equipment funding. And I joined because he was following me for about 2 years. So one day he called me and said, Bharathan, what is that you need? But you have to join. You are kidnapped. I said, fine, sir. And at that point of time, I was getting some XYZ, and I asked for about 30% jump because in a structured organization, 30% jump is something very high.
Okay.
And he also immediately said, okay. And then issued me appointment letter. I also joined. But then I was appointed as regional manager for AP. Then one fine day, in about 15 days or 20 days time, he came down to Hyderabad. And that day, suddenly, the way he was yelling at me or whatever you say, and I virtually wanted to run away from that place. What is this? 2 years he has been following me, and suddenly, the whole day, he started telling me, Bharathan, you need to develop this. This is not a company like Centurion Bank. You cannot offer that type of interest. Your negotiation skills you have to improve. This is not the way you have to negotiate. Forget about your past. That's why I hardly joined. But 15 days back, and you know that I have come from a structured company, bank. And within 15 days, you start shouting at me like this. Somehow, I'm very uncomfortable. Then I told him by evening, end of the day, I said, sir, I want to quit. I'll go back to my parent organization.
Right on the 15th day.
15th day. Then he said, no, Bharathan, you come now to hotel.
Okay.
Sat in hotel. Then he offered me a drink and said, Bharathan, cool down. Why I kept on telling you about this negotiation skills is that you have to improve your negotiation skills the way you negotiated your salary.
Oh, okay.
You have come from a structured organization like Centurion Bank and joining a non-banking finance company, which is much smaller than what Centurion Bank is, and you're asking for about 30-35% jump. That is where you have to change your mindset and your negotiation skills also. This is one change, it has to come into effect.
Inculcate in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I said, fine, sir, give me some time. But then it's hardly 15 days. Then he suddenly took one envelope. And it was something like almost 150% above than what. I was shocked. He was going through that envelope and said, what is this, sir? He said, this is what you should have asked for.
Oh, okay. Okay.
For your experience and whatever your market value, whatever you call. I've been following for 2 years. The same thing they would have given your own company would have given. Because I know that my company would have given only 10% banks those days. So I asked 3 times. But then shot up, gave an envelope. And he said one thing that, why I'm giving you this is for the simple reason that tomorrow you will realize that you have negotiated wrongly. And you cannot come and ask me. And you cannot tell me that you are negotiating because whatever yours I have given you.
Exactly.
So you will start applying for other companies, which I don't want you to do.
Okay. Okay.
That is the reason I'm giving you this. I tell a lot of youngsters, so when you negotiate your salary or whatever it is, think about your market value. Know from the market what is your market value. Just don't go about what you had earlier. Because by the time you would have gained experience, you would have known what you not have thought about your market value. But rightly so, he inspired me. He motivated me rather, not inspired me, but motivated me to see how we should negotiate. Not just on salary front or anything. Maybe it could be anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
not just salary part. So every time when you go for negotiation, this strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me understand properly and then start negotiating.
Yeah.
It be it with customers, be it with your own family, friends, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiation skills, very important. And that was one lesson I learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth person, the present boss, I can say, that was in between, I had one urge to do something on my own.
Okay.
So we three friends, we wanted to start something in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to acquire mines, start thermal plant. That time I had 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs is
Yeah. What time was that? Which year? was it?
2007, 2008.
50 lakhs. It's
50
a,
lakhs.
It's a huge amount. at
Huge
that time.
amount. 2002, 50 lakhs. अपने को जीने के लिए कितना चाहिए?
Hmm.
So three of our friends,
Mm-hmm.
we decided, you know what used to happen? I used to go to Zambia with my own flight charges was mine.
Mm-hmm.
पहले तो शौक से जाते थे. With our, then slowly, I never knew that 50 lakhs will get diluted so fast.
Oh, okay.
Then Delhi, I used to have some meetings.
Okay.
First, I used to go by flight. Slowly started going by, train. I used to tell, no, I have some other work. Then take some, because to save money.
I
This
understand.
was my money, right?
I understand.
And one bitter thing which I learned in life is that first salary which used to get credited into our account, that
First
was
of every
missing.
month, yeah.
That was missing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was also really missing that.
Okay.
And I thought, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So go to Delhi. Then slowly that project was not as expected. It was not picking up. So we were going to Africa, negotiating a lot of things we did there. Three of us. And one fine day, present boss, Mr. Prakash Pai, early morning at about 6:37, he came in his track shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Early morning. And he said, Bharathan, I'm just following you. He always used to keep asking,
Mm-hmm.
क्या कर रहे हो आप लोग?
Mm-hmm.
Then he gave me one piece of advice.
Mm-hmm.
See, Bharathan, this is not a game for you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel that let us work together.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you some 9% equity. 2008, 2009.
Oh, yeah.
I was about 40.
Okay.
Early, you can
Okay.
say,
And
early
he was ready to offer you 9% of.
equity.
Okay.
Then he offered, and he took over that company. It was called as Puzrona Zambia Limited.
Okay.
And see the excitement. Then he said, whatever you spent till date, I'm giving you. He gave me quite enough amount. That was actually very attractive. Something like a joining bonus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that really helped me also at that particular point of time.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 years, I was in Africa.
Mhm.
15 days in Africa, come back to India. We acquired a lot of money, did a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But at one particular point, here business took, it was growing like anything.
Mhm.
Our company's business.
Mm-hmm.
So 2-3 crores we lost there,
Mm-hmm.
but he was least bothered.
Okay.
Imagine.
I understand. Yeah.
And I continued to get into all these activities because he wanted to position our company. That's how I entered into ICMA, Skill Council, because I was a face for this company,
Mm-hmm.
at least industry bodies, CIA.
Mm-hmm.
So he encouraged me, motivated me to be into, all these national bodies
Mm-hmm.
representing company, because that gives pride to the company also. Today, if you say Bharathan, a governing council member or honorary, somewhere Puzrona comes.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that was how he encouraged me, and for me it was a big relief.
Mhm.
Then I thought at that particular point of time, okay, I don't want to go by what, but personally, I'm a very good advisor. I can make people earn money,
Mm-hmm.
but when I get into it on my own,
Mm-hmm.
we cannot. So it is best be an advisor, let others earn. We keep advising,
Okay.
and whatever little you get, be happy with it.
Well, that's what makes you a chief advisor then.
Exactly.
Yeah. I want to come back to the structured company from the Babuloka company, the transition. Do you mean? I mean, do you think structured means slow?
No, systems.
A lot of systems
Yeah.
to be in place.
If you have to follow certain systems, like there, also I was doing something different,
Mhm.
and I was never following systems.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example in Central Bank. Of course, see, bosses think always different.
Mhm.
They're visionaries. That's the reason, any company for that matter, you'll always find two statements.
Hmm.
You know that? One is a vision statement, another is a mission statement.
Okay.
Vision and
Mhm.
mission. You'll find in some companies there'll be two brothers.
Mhm.
One brother will only be into vision.
Mhm.
The other mission. Mission is more of running the process, systems, running the company.
Mhm.
Vision, they think about let us grow this company, diversify this way. They talk about thousands and thousands of crores, diversifying and all that stuff.
Mhm.
When there are no brothers, they have professionals to run the mission.
Mhm.
Whereas vision, always the founder will always have vision.
Mhm.
But if there are two brothers or whatever it is, then vision. If father and son, father will get into vision, then son will get into mission. So here, when I talk about vision and mission, Deva Ahuja was the founder chairman.
Mhm.
So what happened was I was never following systems.
Mhm.
Something I used to run, but business I used to get like anything.
Mhm.
So there was a huge audit that happened, and they said, no, Bharathan is doing like this. A lot of complaints against me, and there was a huge audit. I was scared at that point of time
Mhm.
because I know I have committed a lot of mistakes.
Mhm.
Then when that audit report went to Deva Ahuja, two things he asked.
Mhm.
It seems, because the head of audit told me this.
Mhm.
Now tell me whether Bharathan has committed scam, fraud, or mistakes.
Okay.
I want to know only two things. And they were trying to answer, and ultimately it was coming to mistakes.
Okay.
Then he said, no. Again, you are coming back to mistakes.
Mhm.
This guy can never work with system. The only good thing is he gets business.
Mhm.
You guys try to.
Cope
I
up with
blame
it.
you guys, all the functional heads.
Yeah.
इसको थोड़ा systems follow करने के लिए train this guy,
Okay.
and he just threw that paper.
Okay.
And the same thing happened in Sri,
Mhm. Mhm.
Kanorias and all. Same thing happened. Similar. Again, same thing, Kanoria. This guy cannot work under systems.
Mhm.
A business like us, सब कुछ करेगा, but problem with this guy is,
Mhm.
so this was also, people have understood over a period of time that systems में ये काम नहीं कर सकता है. And today also I'm not that savvy. I'm neither what do you call savvy with your computers. I'm not a computer literate. In fact, I call myself a computer illiterate.
Mhm.
I never carry mobile. I never go anywhere with PowerPoint presentation. I must have addressed several meetings or conferences, be it in Korea, be it in Malaysia, but always it was extempore.
Does it work though in this generation, in this era?
It does work if you really think,
If you know your thing.
yeah, if you are again getting into those systems, and then I'm not very sure, I cannot say, because if you're in IT, probably,
Mhm.
I don't know, because I'm not an IT guy and I have never been into that sector at all. So I cannot talk much about. But other fields, like, I'm sure if you really have experience,
Mhm.
I'm 100% sure you should develop. I'll tell you one more classic example, very classic example of KK Mohd.
Mhm.
I've developed that, and I think many youngsters should know this,
Mhm.
learn this.
Mhm.
Generally, when he calls for meeting,
Mhm.
people come with diary for notings. So I also used to go.
Mhm.
Then one fine day, he called me and said, these guys are operational guys.
Mhm.
One is finance operational guy.
Okay.
You are heading a region.
Mhm.
I don't want you to write notes like this. Whatever I say, it has to go into your mind.
Mhm.
Okay. Then filter out whatever is useless.
Okay.
Then act upon it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are really going to be a leader,
Mm-hmm.
please remember, never go like a secretary or a clerical guy and start taking notes. You will never become a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I started practicing that. Wherever I go, I try to take
Mm-hmm.
points, not
On
by
it,
writing
in your
notes,
head.
but here.
Mm-hmm.
Filter out whatever is. And today also, whether it's a debtor mate, I can clearly say which are problematic cases, everything it comes.
Mm-hmm.
My own.
Mm-hmm.
It has become a habit.
Yeah.
So this is one big lesson which I learned from Mr. K. Mohd.
Okay. Do you think systems slow you down?
Systems?
Slow you down?
Maybe not interested also.
Okay.
If I work with system, then I think what I am for it. And people will be willing to pay more when the decision is fast.
Okay.
That's where, actually we come into picture. Small businesses, small companies, people approach there, okay, 1-2% gaya to gaya, but I'm getting it faster.
Mm-hmm.
So we take advantage of that situation, and even the customer takes advantage.
Would you still like to work like that?
Now I cannot change.
Okay. So people under you, would you like them to follow systems, or would you like them to take bold decisions as you?
They have to take bold decisions.
And would you be okay with it?
Yeah, 100%. Let them. The first thing is they have to give me that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. Bosses,
Yeah.
see, it can happen only when you give that confidence.
What kind of a boss are you like?
Something you've heard of benevolent dictator?
I'd like to hear it from you.
Benevolent is something like, you're still kind-hearted and you're still a dictator.
Okay.
But then again, I'll tell you, there's a lot of, I can give you a few more examples. Today's younger generation or people under me, because you asked me the right question. In fact, I should come up with a proper answer, citing some good example. Otherwise, you will not get convinced. You are still young. I'll tell you 1 or 2 examples.
Yes, please.
Classic examples of where, I have to still compete with younger generation. It so happened in one company where, the younger generation, they go with presentations, a lot of stuff, And I keep telling them, you come to me only when you cannot close the deal.
Okay. Interesting.
If you can close a deal, I'm not needed. But even those guys should have that confidence that, or at least challenge me. Acha, ye to bata raha hai, I could not close the deal. Let me see how this guy closes.
Yeah. So you believe in meritocracy?
So there was one instance, or many instances, I say, not one instance, many instances. I have to upskilling, what we call. Now I cannot suddenly get into IT and compete with. I have to use my experience, which they don't have. Younger generation, they don't have.
Exactly.
So in one particular deal, I'll give you an example where they went and outright that MD rejected.
Okay.
These guys came back to me, sir, close nahi ho raha hai deal. I said, you come down. Let us see. I sat with the MD of that company. We were discussing, and it was about the rate of interest. Then they were wanting about 20-30 crores, and he said, no, all other companies, ABN AMRO, XYZ bankers, they are giving me this rate, that rate, and all that stuff. Then I said, I have not come here for business. Just wanted to say hello to you. These guys were shocked. What is this boss speaking like this? I said, sir, you will come to me because I know all these bankers. Your requirement is about 20 crores. All these bankers put together will give you 10 crores. I have offered you, say, 10%, and they have offered 8%. So I want you to take that 10 crores. Because balance 10 crores will come to me, I can still charge you 12%.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Because I know you will not get it.
Yeah.
And he was shocked and he said, "Nee, Bharathan, you tell me what rate you can give." And I said, "I'm going to stick to myself. But you still take that 8% with other bankers. Sir. I'll wait for the other 10 crores. Because I know your requirement is 20 crores, not 10 crores.
Yeah.
And you will not get more than 10 crores from all these bankers." And he had to sign for that. And I can give you that entire 20 crores at 8%. That 10%, whatever. Then they had to sign. And that's what I told these guys. You saw how this guy, that is experience. You have not understood what is his requirement, first of all. You're still fighting with other bankers going there. You should know what his requirement is. His requirement is 20 crores. And you should also know that how much other bankers can fund him. Now, these are things which you have not considered. This is by experience. So people, then that particular generation starts giving respect to you.
Okay.
Now, if I also stick to the systems, see what is PLR, prime lending rate and all that stuff, then these guys will simply discount me totally. I'll be out totally. And there are many. I have seen a lot of guys, maybe at my age, virtually, they are nowhere today because they could not compete with the younger generation. So I also take certain things, challenge them, show them practically, use my experience, and which they cannot. So blend of experience and systems will work still excellently. There should be some blend, should be hybrid sort of thing.
Can you give me 3 things that younger generation should learn from your generation and 3 things that you should learn from them?
It's what exactly I'm saying. They should understand, they should try to utilize my experience. See, older generation, there are 2 aspects in IT. If you really want to get into in IT, you may be a master in IT. You may know all this, whatever you call Javas, Givas and all that thing, C++, all that pluses and minuses. Okay. But the functional aspect, if you are not aware, then you can develop nothing. None of your programs can get developed. So what you should do, you always, whenever you are formulating some program or helping a company, you'll always find there are certain functional heads. Functional heads have got nothing to do with IT. They are the ones who just try and explain you the process, what exactly they need, what bosses need. They only try and give you explain in that particular area. Finance guy gives about finance, manufacturing guy gives about manufacturing. They take all these notes, then they create the program. So without functional heads, nothing can happen. So experience comes through these functional heads. And then IT, you can develop whatever program you want to give the outputs faster, reliable outputs. So there always has to be that blend.
Okay. What would you like to learn from them?
The outputs, how they create.
Okay, with guidance.
I need something because I don't know. Certain outputs, even I really, I might be thinking that I will never get such output. But these are the guys who actually make and give it.
See, apart from work, what would you like to learn from them? Like for example, experience, not work-wise, but life-wise.
Oh, life-wise, I cannot compete with younger generation these days. I can only feel envy or jealousy.
Okay.
And that's the reason I always feel I cannot go back. Okay. The only thing, I cannot compete with them. That's what I told you. Today is not the time for me to get into all these things, learn everything and then compete with you guys, So, stay calm. You need something which 100% I cannot get that output. Go to the younger generation. Even my son who is about 8 years old also, certain things, in fact, I ask him also. These guys are able to give certain things.
Exactly.
I go to my daughter, you know very well. I keep asking you also at times. So certain things, yes, I have to talk to younger generation. I cannot be adamant.
Yeah. Okay.
Thinking that experience is the only thing that can
solve issues.
Yes.
Well, that's correct. So you worked with some of India's most strategic sectors. construction, equipment, manufacturing, and infrastructure management and stuff. If you see it as an industry, it's not spoken about much because of people just speaking about trending topics like AI.
People talk about IT,
Hmm.
but these days people are talking one more word, infrastructure.
Yes.
Wherever you go, people talk about infrastructure.
Yes.
Now, there has to be, again, earlier, IT was going its way,
Hmm.
infrastructure was going its way on its own. So, today we have realized
Hmm.
that we have to come together.
Hmm.
IT can survive only if there is infrastructure.
Hmm.
Infrastructure can survive only when there is IT.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of things happening in the industry these days. So when you talk about all this telematics,
Hmm.
you talk about AI, all this have come into even our industry, construction equipment industry also. Today infrastructure, when you're talking about, way back in Malaysia when I gave my first, representing India, the business community.
Hmm.
Those days, I think it was about 15 years back. 15 years back, roads we are talking about those days. You know how many kilometers per day was built those days? 3 kilometers. And at that point after, Kamal Nath was the minister for roads.
Hmm.
He was talking about vision as 11 kilometers per day.
Hmm. Hmm.
3 to
11.
11. Okay. Today, you know what we are talking about? Just 15 years.
Hmm.
Today we are talking something like 100 kilometers, 70 to 100 kilometers per day.
Hmm. Okay.
Roads to be built.
Okay.
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 And we are already at about 40 kilometers per day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Now, for all these things, it cannot happen just mechanically.
Hmm.
Okay. So, it is somewhere undercurrent, IT driven.
Hmm.
So, telematics has come into picture, AI has come into picture. So, it's going to go faster.
Hmm.
Your machinery today, I'm telling you, at certain sites, everything is automated. Loaders, they pick up the material, everything is guided by one single person.
Hmm.
Everything is programmed.
Hmm.
It has become so fast.
Hmm.
So, whatever we are talking today, kilometers per day, only I'm talking about roads, it's happening so fast just because IT got involved with infrastructure industry,
Hmm. Hmm.
which in earlier part was never there. I can give you a few examples. 2000, I'm telling you, year 2000, I'm talking about a dumper. I don't want to name the contractor. It's a very big contractor. I was the first guy to fund. It was a Volvo dumper. They bought a huge dumper. Otherwise, we were all depending on that Tatas and Ashok Leyland. They're the only two guys. So Volvo came up with a big dumper, and Volvo trucks we used to call, with AC. Okay, the cabins used to have AC.
AC.
The first thing the contractor did was remove that AC. Guys must be enjoying.
Okay.
They will not perform. And some contractors with AC, they were running. When they started calculating, the productivity with AC was far higher than when they removed the AC. Today, slowly automation. People are objecting automation.
I wanted to ask you about that. What's your perspective on that?
It has to be automated. Automation is a must.
You're talking about your particular industry or
Any industry for that matter.
okay?
Any industry for that matter.
And what about the labor that's going to get replaced?
Labor will have to see. I'm telling you, being in skill development, infrastructure equipment skill council. Today, don't go about people talking about this unemployment, all that stuff. It's all bogus. People they become lazy actually.
Okay.
There's enough work because of the subsidies, giving freebies. People want to be lazy.
Chilling.
They want to get chilled. Nobody wants to work. There's nothing that something called unemployment. They don't want to get employed.
Okay.
Today, if you see the skill council, the demand for operators is about 3 lakhs. you don't even have 30,000 operators.
Okay.
How,
Okay.
that is the reason I'm, when we talk about this, don't think that, our Honorable Prime Minister Modi has thought about Skill India just for skilling.
Mm-hmm.
It is also to ensure that people don't talk too much about unemployment and become lazy.
Okay.
That is the reason this particular concept of various skill councils that has we have about 32 skill councils under Ministry of Skill Development.
Mm-hmm.
One major is Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council. There are other small skill councils also. But infrastructure comes, we come under that upper layer.
Mm-hmm.
Here what we do, we train operators
Mm-hmm.
who are 8th fail and all.
Okay.
Bring them from villages, train them,
Mm-hmm.
then they get that employability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what this guy is going to do? Freebies you are getting, sit at home, lazy, keep drinking with the money which they are getting. Huh?
Okay.
That's it. That's what it's happening in many places. But now there is a change.
Okay.
People are coming forward.
Okay.
Now, how it's happening? We should really appreciate women empowerment, which we call these days.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening in villages? Girls are also moving these days. They are also coming to the city. They are also working. They are taking upper hand now.
Mm-hmm.
At least now we are seeing that change.
Mm-hmm. Your work in your field, how did it shape your understanding on India's developing industrial needs? Skilling, yes, but what exactly motivated you?
There are few things like one is not just skilling part, as you rightly pointed out. There are other factors also, like some of the policy decisions which the government takes.
Mm-hmm.
We need to change a lot.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Very simple example of certain policies which we have.
Mm-hmm.
They are all, old school of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is too much of a resistance for not changing those policies.
Mm-hmm.
There is too much of opposition probably because people don't want to change. Because, change can happen only when you have a majority.
Mm-hmm.
But political class becomes very difficult for us to make them understand, what change is all about and how it can alter things.
How's it working on global platforms like Commonwealth? You mentioned something about Malaysia.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that, please?
See, I've been to Malaysia, I've been to South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
representing our country, addressing the business community from Korea, and in Malaysia, again from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Then even in Africa, I had quite few meetings with European Union. One major difference is they do understand what India does.
Okay.
But in reality, they don't go to the grassroots level, like what we talk about subsidies and all that stuff. So now what is happening? There are two things.
Mm-hmm.
They want to come to India because it is a low-cost manufacturing hub. India is a low-cost manufacturing hub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So many countries, European countries and all, they wanted to come to India.
Take a bite.
But greenfield projects are very difficult for them to come and establish. It becomes slightly different, setting up a project, getting all those clearances and all that stuff. It's quite difficult.
That makes
So now the new trend that has taken shape is most of the Indian companies are forming a joint venture.
Mm-hmm.
So these joint ventures, if you find many companies from say America or Europe with our own company, we have collaboration. What they do is the infrastructure is ready. I grow, you grow, win-win situation for both. So what they do is we complement each other. So this is happening in a very big way.
Okay.
And all these places where I have given my lecture or whatever it is one thing I keep talking about. Come to India, form joint venture. I don't tell them that you come and establish totally.
Why is that?
It becomes difficult. See, there are a lot of legal hurdles. Setting up an industry in India outrightly. It's a greenfield project. There's a gestation period. They don't understand local people.
Okay.
So the best thing is win-win situation. I have infrastructure. I can build infrastructure for you. Let us do together.
Okay.
And being a low-cost manufacturing hub, mostly in Europe and all, you find they're all high cost. Our another biggest advantage is Chinese population is aging, but India, fortunately, again, there are people who are still that strong
To tolerate the heat.
to tolerate heat and all.
Okay.
As long as they get some money, they are happy with it. So China is slightly moving away from that. They're becoming too tech savvy. That is where slightly I feel we should also not get into that particular aspect, becoming too tech savvy. You still need these rugged people, like a guy like me who doesn't follow system.
Makes sense. Now let's come to the building Bharat to infrastructure, where we speak about tender norms and stuff. So in our last conversation, you did mention about prioritizing manufacturing equipment in India. I mean, what do you believe are the key reasons that the industry as such hasn't received as much focus that it should have received from the authorities?
We still have that concept of L1, L2. There's something called L1, L2. There are certain specifications.
Okay.
For example, I'll tell you. They mention specifically, okay, your turnover should be this much, your technical capabilities, what you have executed should be this much, so and so. They've listed. There is something called, which still India, there are not many takers for it, something called Swiss challenge. Swiss challenge mode.
Challenge, okay.
The Swiss challenge mode actually looks into not just those aspects, your finance capabilities, and everything is on paper. You just fill up that I have a 200 crore turnover, okay. And then you have experience of so many executed 100 works, okay. It just goes by that, template. They have a template. You just go by that template.
Okay.
Whereas Swiss challenge is something, you challenge this. My technology is better. This is what I can offer better. So I am charging you like this.
Okay.
The other guy should again come and say, okay, if you are saying that I can finish in, 12 months, I can finish in 9 months with better quality. So this is the reason I am charging this much. So something you have to come up. You have to keep challenging that particular bid.
Okay.
And that is again, that happens in worldwide. Most of the places it happens, Swiss challenge.
Okay.
Which still is opposed in India.
Okay. Why is that?
The reason being, no, there could always be some loopholes in this.
Okay.
A big guy goes, he talks something and then gets. So we should have this template. Template has to be very clear. Basing on this template, you award.
Yeah.
Which is sad part.
Yeah. Why do you think that's the case?
But that is what they've been following since ages.
Okay.
And no change made. No change made.
Okay. Makes sense. So what, if you were the authority, what structural reforms do you believe or would you establish for equipment, leasing or tender norms or anything that you would like to change about India in this particular industry?
First is, as I told you, something like Swiss challenge. Look into the technological part. Second thing is, again, you came out to this rental leasing.
Yeah. I want to know more on that.
Yeah. We are way behind when compared to other countries, developed countries, when it comes to rental and leasing.
Okay.
The problem in India is like whether it's you or me or whoever it is, take example of a car. You want to own it.
Yeah.
I am the owner.
Yeah.
It has to be on my name. That sentiment drives you to own that.
Yeah.
So when you own a particular thing, you have to say you are not owning with your cash.
Yeah.
You are taking a loan.
Yeah.
Then you have to pay interest,
On that
loan part, everything.
Yeah.
The problem in India is we have not still got into rentals and lease because the way we think. Now, for example, have you ever thought like that? You buy a car. Okay. I know you must have bought some few cars.
Mm-hmm.
6 months you get bored.
Mm-hmm.
7 months you get bored, or some new model comes. But in a developed country, what they do, generally, they feel like changing the car.
Changing the car,
Or the company gives you the car, he changes the company.
That's a true scenario.
So what happens, it's all on a rental basis, or you pay the rental amount.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any love for that particular mission.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not your wife, or it's not your... So what you do?
Okay.
TK is clinical, let me try something else.
Yeah.
So when you have so much thing in your career, why not for these missions?
Okay. Yeah.
So the rental and leasing, even in equipment, I'm talking, this is about cars.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come for equipments,
Mm-hmm.
big infrastructure projects, in fact, I keep giving lectures on this, that why people should change their attitude towards buying equipment. There should be some combination.
Mm-hmm.
You should not buy 100% equipment. At least the combination should be some 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
70% you want to own.
Yeah.
30% at least you go for rentals, and
Okay.
it will be very costly.
Okay.
There is a difference between rental and leasing.
Leasing.
Rental is very short.
Hmm.
Today you go to developed countries, you see these loaders,
Yeah.
big loaders,
Mm-hmm.
it is available even on a hourly basis.
Okay.
But our guys, what they do, they calculate that hourly basis rental which they are paying with a 3-year term.
Okay.
And they say, no, very costly. This is working out to 46%. How can you do that? And all the projects will have something two.
Mm-hmm.
One is peak level requirement and base level requirement.
Okay.
Peak level requirement is, suppose when you are end of the project,
Mm-hmm.
the requirements will be high. You have to finish fast.
Mm-hmm.
So at that particular point of time, what you have to do is, you have to buy on rentals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Buy equipment on rental. That could be for 3 months. Some 2 excavators, additional excavators, some 5 more dumpers, 5 more trucks. All these things, you have to take it on rentals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they don't do here.
They don't do it.
Similarly, leasing. Leasing doesn't come into your books.
Mm-hmm.
We call something like debt equity ratio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Debt and equity. Because now you buy everything, then your debt goes up.
Yes.
Debt should never go up.
Yes.
But in our book, that will keep going on. So something today, people should value debt, service, equity. Can you service that debt? If you take on leasing, that never comes into your books.
Mm-hmm.
So your debt equity ratio gets protected.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So people are not understanding these things, which still awareness has to be created among, including, I'm not only talking about contractors who execute the projects, but also to the policymakers.
Okay.
In fact, in one of the Niti Udyog meeting, I was invited,
Mm-hmm.
and that was during the GST period,
Mm-hmm.
where I wrote an article also.
Mm-hmm.
That time also I made it very clear that,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have this particular policy changed.
Mm-hmm.
People need to get, then you will start creating leasing companies, rental companies,
Mm-hmm.
they'll blossom. Today you hardly have rental companies and leasing companies in India. Banks never do leasing in India. Very unfortunate.
Is that the need of the hour now?
Very much.
Do you think that will fasten the process of
100%.
construction?
100%.
So would that be something that you would address as
I'm addressing
as an
even today.
No, when you become an authority, that was something that you...
If I have an authority, I'll implement it on
That
yesterday
will be a
basis.
mandate
On
then.
yesterday basis.
We were also talking about, since we spoke about cars, we need a license to drive one.
Yes.
But do we need one to drive a JCB?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. Again, it comes under infrastructure equipment, which we are still fighting it out with government.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate, because today, for a car, you need a driving license.
Mm-hmm.
Even anything on road, you need license, which comes under Motor Vehicle Act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Off road, nobody is there to bother. A helper can get onto JCB and he can start working. Excavator, you don't know what that guy is doing. And even in tenders,
Mm-hmm.
you see, unfortunately, they have never mentioned, they only say skilled operator, that's all. Trained operators, not even skilled operator.
Trained operator.
They'll say trained operators to be employed. What is the trained operators?
Does it have any safety standards?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That is the reason we are fighting. We say we have to look into that particular aspect more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Some certification like the IESC it's a body, recognized body by the Ministry of Skill Development. Why not IESC certification be made mandatory?
Okay.
No contractors can employ and allow to operate their equipments, or none of the government bodies should allow any, they should do some sort of inspection. They should go do random check. If they find some operator without certification, then immediately they should be penalized.
Yes, makes sense.
And very, very unfortunate that is not happening. We are still fighting. Government says, very good idea. Every time we go there, they say, excellent idea, we'll implement. And okay, they're talking about one more act called Construction Equipment and Mining Act.
Okay.
I was also involved in that preparation of that act through this ICMA body. So it's just similar to MB Act. One more act is likely to come, still not passed by the Parliament. That is called as Construction Equipment and Mining Act.
Okay.
That may cover all these aspects.
Okay.
So fingers crossed.
May.
Fingers crossed, because twice or thrice it went, and then some industry body, they keep objecting.
Okay.
So legally still the draft is still on.
Okay. Not
Draft
by the
is done.
politicians.
Draft is done. It has to be passed at
So are the industry leaders opposing it, or are the politicians?
some of the industry guys also opposing.
Okay.
There are various points, not just 2-3 points here and there. There are other aspects that covers mining, construction equipment mining act, which some industry manufacturers, contractors, they are all opposing.
Now let's come to your position as an honorary treasurer with the IESC under NSDC. I just want to know, how does it feel to work under the PM's initiative? Is it a responsibility or is it fun? Mainly,
It's not
is it
exactly
pressure?
a responsibility. It is, there is something called some satisfaction which gives you in life.
Okay.
It is something like, more towards social responsibility, I can say.
Do you do it for the kick of it?
Kick off it, yes.
Okay, that gives you a kick.
Yes.
What part of it?
Initially, we started, dropouts, 8th class dropouts. As I told you, we talk about too much of unemployment. A lot of buzz going around, India, there's no employability and this. So many people, as I said, guys sitting lazy, 8th dropouts. We are just trying to bring them into the main field, training them, then creating employment for them. That is one thing which actually IESC takes care. You have to become more professional in operator. Today there should be something like an operator. When somebody is giving a girl, he should be proud to say that yes, my son-in-law is an operator, JCB operator, and others should respect.
Okay.
That should be the trend which we have to create.
Yeah.
अरे वो तो operator, वो तो driver है.
Okay. So you need to create the dignity in that.
Dignity in that.
Okay.
Whereas elsewhere you find that. I'm happy I can see at least in one of these they don't call driver, they say captain.
Yeah.
Captain.
Yeah, they have dignified it.
Something, just giving him some respect.
Respect.
Okay, dignity. He also feels, oh, captain.
They take pride in it.
They take pride in it.
Yeah.
And we all should respect. Similarly, when you are giving a girl, he should not only say engineer ko deunga, usko deunga, isko deunga, nahi. But for that, if you are professional, you earn also that much. You become professional, then you are very sure that even his financial stability is going to be that good.
So what's meeting the man himself, Prime Minister? What's he like?
See, that was the initial stage when he was very serious about skill council.
Okay. And
because we created that particular body, an entire industry, manufacturers association, and all OEMs. They all came together to form this infrastructure equipment skill council to impress upon the Prime Minister, just to tell them that we are with you.
Okay.
So that's how, because being honorary treasurer and a governing body member of infrastructure equipment skill council, I had that opportunity to have to interact with him, and but very serious person, talk to the point. Okay, and I said, for center of excellence we need funds from the government for building, land building, all that stuff. Only one word he used. He immediately called up the minister and said, we have a lot of railway bogies lying in various railway stations.
Okay.
Why don't you use that for training people? Use those bogies for as classrooms.
Oh.
So why do you need to build? One shot, he completed and finished. I had no answer. Very interesting. He has got very instinct, understanding, and greatness is about. See, that type of reply, getting instantly. Really, you have to appreciate
the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Okay. So, who did you vote for in the elections? You don't want to go there?
Yeah, I better.
Okay, I understand. Okay, what's Nitin Gadkari like?
I had several interactions with him. Basically because I was governing council member for ICMA, and I had the privilege of industry asking me to question him on few aspects, and so that's how several times I interacted with him. And what one particular point of time, in fact, there were few questions which I asked him. If you talk about roads infrastructure, he is the first person, one of the best ministers I have seen when it comes to roads, especially roads. Anything you ask for, he will initiate, act immediately. That's a greatness. He'll put one special officer, immediately he will talk to them directly and ensure that it is done. So that's what I said. As far as roads infrastructure is concerned, I have never seen a minister like Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Hats off to him.
Okay.
Today, whatever you are talking about, 70 kilometers per day, it is actually becoming a reality.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have put forth all these things to him about leasing, rentals. But that particular point, he says that it has to go to the finance ministry. He cannot act directly. So, but he tried his best to impress upon finance ministry. But a lot of, again, at bureaucrat level or even at policy makers, they have their own constraints. So they don't act upon. Their coordination is not there with the finance ministry and the Mohd. I've seen this.
Okay.
So that's where it is not happening actually.
Okay.
There's no coordinated effort, I can say.
How would you describe your tenure term as a chairman with ICMA and your work with CII?
No, I was not chairman of ICMA. I was always a governing council member. But then I had the privilege and honor of starting a finance panel, because that was one link that was missing. When I entered ICMA, because that's the industry that elects that particular body. So I got elected. The biggest drawback in ICMA was we were sitting and discussing about all the projects and all, but the backbone for entire industry is again finance.
Yeah.
So I said that's missing because I come from that field.
Yeah.
I was heading Centurion Bank, then I was with Stray Infrastructure Finance. So I know that there is definitely a disconnect between financiers and OEMs.
Okay.
So that's where I said we need to get involved financiers. So then it was okay. Then we gave them this associate membership, and the finance companies were brought into picture. So even today it is successfully running. So we have finance companies and manufacturers sitting together and discussing. Because each has to understand their problems. That's how they can go together.
True.
So in future, now they are thinking of even involving insurance companies also. That's the next stage. But as far as finance panel is concerned, yes, I took the initiative and I was the first convener for finance panel.
Oh, okay. If you were to address a 20-year-old today, how would you, I don't want to use the word convince, but how would you motivate him to pursue career in construction equipment or infrastructure management?
Yeah, definitely. Because today the idea is everyone, you see, they talk about IT.
Yeah.
Talk to any guy who is graduating, and then I talk to him, then he says IT.
Yeah.
And nobody is thinking about civil, mechanical. There are other fields also, right? And this is also again very unfortunate.
Okay.
So today I say that there are a lot of opportunities available even in civil, mechanical field also.
Okay.
And more so today, IT is also getting involved with this mechanical part. Or so that's the reason we talk about telematics, we talk about what you call AI, everything. Okay. So this is where there is a blend actually. So people need to get educated. Don't just think about mechanical engineering means not just going and they think they are operators. Go to the factory, work in an assembly line. That's the thought process. That thought process has to change.
Okay.
Similarly, civil. Civil are a lot of other things. You can create a lot of even mechanical you can create designs, civil structures you can create a lot of structural designs. A lot of things to do, which again IT can get involved. So people don't understand. Straight away IT, they only think about getting into software. People again rushing to same that what you call that old. It is becoming something like old school of thoughts. Going to US, you see the pattern is similar everywhere. They go to US. After doing engineering, as if that's the only objective that's there in life. But I never practiced that. So I'm totally against also. Younger generation, I think differently. Think about other fields. Start studying about other fields also.
Okay.
If everyone gets into IT.
Okay. The field itself is saturated.
Saturated. Today, nobody wants to get into metallurgy. Nobody wants to get into mechanical. Nobody wants to go to civil because civil you have to go to site. Nobody wants to travel.
Makes sense.
I've taken few interviews. I've seen few interviews in our own company. Every guy they say they want to get into our IT division.
Okay.
Or design department. The moment you say that no, you come to civil or mechanical, you'll have to travel. Guy is off.
So how do you hire them? Like how do you suffice the demand?
So what you have to do is we are trying to do that. At least even through ICMA, we are involving now academicians also.
Oh, interesting.
So academia, there's a separate, again we have created a separate panel where we go to institutes, bring them to this exhibition. This is one exhibition where I am the steering committee member, CIS, that's called as XCon.
Okay. Yeah.
It is South Asia's largest exhibition, which happens once in 2 years. So I have been all through as a steering committee member for that particular exhibition. There, we have created that academia, one particular committee. That committee goes, educates most of this institute. I'll tell you some interesting facts about. There are a lot of research papers in IITs. Take an example of any colleges. They prepare project reports. You tell me how many of these project reports are seriously taken up and done. Just for marks, something they submit. Nobody does it seriously. But definitely in IITs and all, there are some projects. But they are all there only for getting their doctorate degrees.
Okay.
papers.
Okay.
There is no connect between industry and these institutes. So somebody has to, commercially exploit those research papers,
Yes.
but that actually goes to dustbin. So today what through ICMA and all we are trying to do is take all this, interact with them, invite them to XCon, showcase them, equipments and all, how they work, where they work, interact with most of the OEMs, students interact with OEMs, then they submit their projects also.
Okay.
See if it is commercially viable.
Okay.
If it is commercially viable, then we take it up. So these type of changes are happening, but still there's a lot of work to be done on this front.
So we've reached the end of our podcast, and the idea is to end it with a rapid fire. So I'll ask you a few questions. You'll have to answer them as quickly as possible.
And quickly, not rapid, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Describe your childhood in 3 words.
RIP, I can say.
RIP. Rest in peace.
Don't say no, rest in peace.
What is it then?
It is something like I just wanted to put in a different angle, not in that sense.
Okay.
Reverse if possible.
Reverse if possible. Can you
go back to childhood again?
Do you want to?
Definitely yes.
Why is that? Do you
After going through all this hell, definitely want to go back to your
Okay. One habit that keeps you grounded?
maybe self-discipline.
Self-discipline. What's a common business advice that you've heard but you're glad that you didn't follow it?
Overcommitment.
Overcommitment. So it's like under promise, over deliver for you.
Yes.
Makes sense. How would you usually prefer to communicate professionally? Text, call, emails?
Any day, text.
Text. Why?
No calls. I think even I can find in my status also, please don't call. And they call Bharat virus. I don't pick calls also. Because I know even in mobile, 80% of the calls are for other. If it is important for him, he calls me up.
Yeah.
So 80, why do I need to pick up that call?
Yeah.
If he's so keen, wants to talk to me, again text me.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
So better wait for that text.
If you had 24 hours completely to yourself, how would you spend it?
Oh, enjoy nature.
Okay.
Find out some place.
Alcohol or no alcohol?
I'm more like a social drinker. So alcohol, yes, but
To an extent.
yes, I think if I have 30 ml, it should be for about 2 hours, 3 hours.
So just as an accompaniment with the
Yes,
nature.
along with the nature. It should go gel with the nature.
Okay.
Because it should not be that I'm going there for alcohol.
Yeah. If you were to be that person, you wouldn't have reached at where you are right now. A place in India you always feel recharged in?
Haridwar is one place.
Haridwar. One skill you wish you picked up earlier?
And there are many skills, but if you ask for one particular...
one that stings you literally.
If you say skill, I don't know, you take it negative or positive. The skill which I keep telling you is not to follow systems.
Okay, makes sense. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Best compliment is from my father.
What is that?
Because he was always opposing me.
Okay.
Always. He, in fact, used to, tell even to his friends or he used to talk about elder son, government job holder, and my son-in-law. He was CEO for Mahindra. So all this, I don't know about this guy. This guy, you'll find him with. In the initial stage, he used to say, you'll find him with what you call begging bowl.
Oh, okay.
So he was very unsure about where I'm going through.
Okay.
And at every point, like I was with Centurion Bank, I left Centurion Bank and joined a Marwadi company.
Mhm.
What's this guy shout at me? So it happened at every stage.
How do you feel about it today? About that
Then-
particular statement?
Yeah, that stage, okay. Every time, then
No, that particular statement.
no, I hardly.
No, do you feel proud of yourself that you've proven him wrong?
So what happened? You asked me
Mhm.
the question which you asked me. The last
Mhm.
my assignment when I was going through all this thing, ICMA and all that stuff, with Puzrona and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Then he said one word that is the biggest compliment. For me, his life is fantasy.
What else do you need? What
That was the
more do you
biggest
need?
compliment I had. One day, he was talking about my brother and all to one of his friends and said, but about this guy,
Hmm.
his life is fantasy for me.
Great. Something people misunderstand about your work.
System again, same,
System.
comes back to the same point
Yeah.
again. I don't work with anything
Systems.
which are systems.
Okay. One decision you're proud of, even it was risky.
I ventured into business,
Okay.
Africa,
Okay.
tried something
Yeah.
risky,
Yeah.
though not successful, learned a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the one thing which I learned, as I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
the biggest lesson which I got is
Mhm.
I can make others earn money with my advice.
Expertise, yeah.
But if I get into that, then I lose.
Okay. So what's next for you personally?
Next is whatever I do, not to satisfy others,
Mhm.
but to have satisfaction for myself. Do anything more relaxed manner and mainly social, whatever I can contribute to, probably, anything connected with social activities.
Well, that is the end of our podcast. It was immensely insightful for a first podcast, a beginner's podcast. I think, what do you think? Have I done well?
And it's my pleasure actually, and I like any informal discussions or
Discussion.
talks.
Yeah.
Because I don't work when systems are in place. I don't like even any structured meets.
That's
So,
great. That's great. We
It
also
has been very informal, and so I'm happy that I'm a part of it. And if this can really inspire few people and take my experiences into account and be helpful, that is the biggest satisfaction I have through this podcast. And I really appreciate you for taking this initiative.
thank you. Before I thank you for a time, there's something called a bonus round that we think we should be doing, because there are crew members also who would want to ask a few things to our guests. Would you be okay with that?
Why not?
Okay. So I'll invite my friend named Awsaaf. He has helped me with research
Wonderful.
for your podcast. He'll come here and he'll ask you a couple of questions if you're okay with it.
You'll not fire me, right?
He won't.
Hello. I would just like to ask a few questions. What has been the most frustrating challenge in your career and how did you overcome it?
A good question. Frustration is always there when you experiment in life. So I have always been a guy who has been experimenting in life. So that was a real challenge. Fortunately, came out successfully. And at every point of time, I mentioned earlier also that, I don't work, I'm not fit to work when there is system.
Okay.
And whatever I do, it is all by instinct.
Right.
So, fortunately, that instinct was successful enough for me to reach to this stage.
So you would like to take a out of the box approach rather
Naturally.
than what?
Absolutely. You put the right word, out of the box.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were 25 today and if you had to choose between starting a business or public policy or skill building, where do you think you would start?
Skill building, definitely, because there's some social responsibility attached to it, you know. So if I'm seriously thinking of skill development, one area I would seriously think, which I have tried and we have done, is bringing in most of this. We have done in skill council.
Right.
Tribal girls, we have trained them as operators, employed them in various what do you call, not just operating equipments but also in factories,
Right.
employing them in OEMs, factories and all. So that is one area, because today these girls are willing to come forward.
Right.
Then they want to come out of that again box,
Right.
whatever you call. So that is one area I would seriously think of, you know, getting into. If
So that the people with lesser education also have a chance
yeah,
to
so
be employed.
if I'm 25, I'll have more energy to do that. So I'll go about everywhere and start doing that.
Right. So, the last question: what's your personal vision for Bharat at the year 2047?
Today, nobody should say that we are developing country.
Okay.
We should be a developed country.
Right.
As simple as that.
How do you dream the country would look like? What do you imagine?
See, today today countries should look at India. They have started looking at India. But then today, the way you talk about China,
Right.
okay, slowly now we are talking of, people are talking about India.
True.
So we have to be a superpower. So at 47, I think we should be one among superpowers.
Do you think we would be able to achieve it?
Definitely, yes, why not?
Is the time frame sufficient? Or
Time
more or
frame is
less?
more than sufficient. It can happen in next 10 years also.
Right.
The way we are going, it can happen in next 10 years also. I'm quite confident about that. But
Could you tell me why are you confident about it?
because we have come to that age, as I said, today, developed countries, they are talking about recession.
True.
Okay. China has got an aged population. Okay. India remains with young population still. So we have that capabilities and capacity to become a developed country faster than other countries.
That's absolutely true. Okay, thank you so much.